When I saw the title of the Old Plantation, I just thought this is going to be awkward, isn't it? And it definitely was. This is a 1935 MGM Happy Harmonies cartoon directed by Rudolf Ising, and part of it isn't too bad. The race aspect is okay, the Black Beauty side of it is pretty good, and the fact that everything is, made of toys and books, I really liked. But we also have a plantation and depictions of black characters that are very caricatured. I will say it's not the worst I've ever seen. I don't feel like it was setting out to insult anybody, whereas there are actually cartoons from around this time, but that's clearly the case. But at the same time, because there are stereotypes and things, it does mean that it's still quite awkward to watch. And that's maybe the first half of it, but once the race aspect kicks in, it's not too bad because we're focusing on these toy horses that are running and trying to win this race. So that side of it worked well. And I will say it's very well animated. As for the narrative, yeah, it's mixed. It starts off with this scene of this kind of plantation, and we have various human characters, but we also have a lot of toys, toy animals. There are wind up or mechanical chickens, which I loved, and that's kind of the point where I realized things were made out of toys. And that concept I think was pretty good fun. And this is kind of something a child has created in their bedroom. And then about halfway through, we get to the point of the race where we have these different horses, and we have this toy horse next to a stable made out of books, and the roof of the stable, sorry, is actually made out of a book of Black Beauty, which I thought was a nice touch. And it's kind of like this child, this non-existent child, has read Black Beauty and decided to create their own imaginary game with their toy horses, which I think is a nice concept. If a child reads a book and then has some, creativity or imaginative play as a result of that, that's brilliant. I think that's a really good idea. The race aspect was very well animated, particularly the bit where the horses are running towards the screen. I thought that was okay. But because it's got such a because there are some really awkward depictions of black characters, it just means that it's really uncomfortable. As I said, it's definitely not the worst I've seen, and I don't think at all that they were trying to negatively depict certain individuals. Again, there are cartoons where that really seems to be the case, but just because that wasn't presumably the intention, it doesn't mean things are correct or done the way they should be. So definitely worth bearing in mind when you go into it. But credit where it's due. It is well animated. The music in it is good, and the sections with the horse race I thought were pretty decently done. So it's not the worst cartoon in the world, and I realize it could have been a lot worse, but there are still problems. But there are positives about it if you can see them. So I'd recommend it for the right reasons. But if you're thinking it might be better to just avoid it, then I don't think you're missing out on too much. The concept of using toys to create this is definitely a very fun idea. But beyond that, and some decent animation, yeah, you wouldn't be missing out on too much.